The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys!
This is Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw Dating, preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and broadcasting live from Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star. Now your host, Nicole Hutchison.
Cowboys Nation, welcome into Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw, the preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys, right here in the SWBC studio. We got a little bit of a twist today. Ambar, Garcia. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, hello. We got Patrik No-C Walker.
Hola.
What up, what up? And we got Hekma Harrison.
I'm in here.
What's up?
What's up?
In the studio with me. I'm glad to have
Crashing
y'all
the party.
here.
We all crashing the party.
Yeah, it's a lot of crashing the party today. A lot of things going on today. We'll start with obviously the biggest news of the day with Jerry Jones talking to the fan this morning and the fan crew, pretty much just asking questions about the offseason and, the state of Mike McCarthy, Dak Prescott, and just the team itself. I'll start with you, Patrik No-C Walker. What would you take of that conversation this morning?
I like a pissed off Jerry Jones.
Okay.
I like me a pissed off Jerry Jones because it tells me that the losses are getting to him. Right, because so often he has the political face on where it's like, yeah, it's eternal optimism and it's we'll right the ship. But then when I heard him say certain things after the game outside the locker room, things like this is quote unquote very concerning, this is humbling. We've got to reassess. We've got to fix this. When I start hearing him say things like that and get chippy, and then now here we are a couple of days removed from that, you would think, okay, well maybe that was heat of the moment, Jerry. Okay. Well, 48 hours later, he's on the fan, and that wasn't heat of the moment, Jerry.
Yeah.
Right? So seeing him get emotional like that, if you're a Cowboys fan, it should at least tell you that he gives a damn. Now, the question being, what does that manifest itself into as far as a possible trade, free agency acquisition? To be determined, I don't know. But at least it's showing that he cares is where I'm at with it. Now it's just like, what happens next?
Yeah.
What about you, Hekma?
Look, so many red flags for me. I think from a media standpoint, those guys are well within their right to ask the tough questions.
Yeah.
And they want an answer to it, but Jerry is well within his right to be pissed off about the questions.
Right.
And so, a fairest exchange has never been in a robbery, as my mom would always say. It was one of those things that obviously at the end of it, it felt more one-sided than anything because now Jerry's saying yeah. Okay. It felt one-sided because Jerry, he flexed on him basically.
He did.
That was a flex, and a lot of times when you see people flex on, those that are. You don't like to see that, right? When the guy can say, I'll get somebody else to ask this question, and he can literally do that,
Yeah.
So I think that was the one thing that was the turnoff. But I'm with you, No-C. It's like everybody's pissed off, and sometimes, like for me, I'm a big boxing fan, and it's a term in boxing like a loss can change your DNA. And sometimes these home losses have started to change our DNA, right? And these are bad losses. These are the kind of losses that when you come back to, you say, if I'm looking for a silver lining in that, I can find nothing that says this reminiscent of a team that you would think would make a run or do anything positive. And it's you're getting your ass beat at home too, right? On top of that, and so we know how Jerry feels about the fans, AT&T, and all of those things, and it's an embarrassment. And what you're getting is the blowback from all of that. They just happen to be right place, right time, and they got probably the worst of what he was feeling when you're asking those questions because everybody's asking the same questions.
Yep.
The same questions are being asked. What were you doing in the offseason? What were you thinking about? How did you think that this particular roster could compete? And to a lot of people, and that's in the know in the NFL, they feel like, man, that's gross negligence if you thought that these group of guys could actually get it done. But if you look at any championship level team, how many guys they've gone through, and guys get hurt in the NFL all the time. So that's where we are. Nobody's talking about the injuries and all of that. They're just talking about you got beat down at home, and that's an embarrassment. Wow, and piling on the Cowboys. But look, I won't try and make this any bigger than what it is. Obviously, it's big in the media. It's the Cowboys, and it's rightfully so. But at the end of the day, we just got to fix what we got going on here. This running game right now is abysmal.
Everything is abysmal. Ambar, what'd you think? Sorry.
That's facts, though.
Straight to the point.
No, yes,
Except
absolutely.
special teams.
What's up with the glasses,
Butter
Ambar?
Aubrey.
These lights.
Is that what it is?
These
I
lights are
miss
too
shades
You know
and
what?
bright. Yeah.
Yo,
I
word.
miss
Yeah.
shades.
Hey,
We
Ambar.
was just talking about
And
the lights is bright.
I was like, boy, you too cool for school. That's what it is. You just gonna put the glasses on.
People think that
Is
I'm
that
just,
what it-
people think I'm just acting cool, or people think I show up to work hungover. Neither. It's neither. It's just these lights are too bright, and
Okay.
I don't want to damage my eyes more than they
Already?
need to.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
look at a screen all day. I don't need extra bright lights
Right on.
every day.
I'm with you.
know?
I'm so sorry.
It's all good.
Shades
It's
and
all
bar.
good.
Those who know.
Thank you.
I did.
Yeah, this is a big
No.
thing. This is
It's
trend
all-
cap.
It's all good.
It's like I'm over here shining like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
you
glasses.
right.
The frame's going. Yeah, you can't really because
I was just going to say that. You
I
can't
mean-
talk either dress down to the
it's kind of drippy.
Yeah.
It's kind of drippy over here too. So.
That's funny. No, but back to the conversation. I think one thing is clear, and I think fans are always thinking that Jerry doesn't care. I mean, Jerry wants nothing more than to get to the Super Bowl and finally win again. There's no other thing that he would want more than that. At the same time, I understand both sides. I understand the people asking the questions, because those are the questions we have to fall back onto. Like, this is what it took to get to this point where we're at. And I also understand Jerry's frustration in firing back and being like, look, what's the point of talking about the past where we're here now? This is the moment, and this is what we got to focus on. So I get all his frustration. What concerns me, though, when you hear those kinds of answers, it makes me think, at least, like, okay, are you really trusting the team right now? I think when you hear those things, it makes me think that maybe you're at a point where you're seeing that there's possibly no direction or quick solution in the right now, in like after the bye week. Like, there's not much of you can do at this point. And maybe that's where the frustration comes from, because if you were truly confident, you stand up and you speak it with confidence, and you speak like he's always spoken. And he's known to always be a very positive person and always looking at the bright side. Even if the building is burning down, he always has some brightness to it, and positive sides of things. But that part is just what it leads me to. Okay, is there really a sense of direction here? Is there really some type of solution that could potentially happen in the near future? And that's my concern at the moment. And I don't know if there is an answer.
No, you're right. But my thing is with Jerry, and I said this a few weeks ago on Talking Cowboys, when the narrative was kind of lopped on to CeeDee Lamb as far as demeanor on the sideline. And my thing is, if it's a player, whether it be a player, a coach, front office executive, show me you care. Right? And then we can build on that. Right? I first need to feel that you care about this as much as I care about this, whatever the topic might be. Now, once I see that you got the passion for it, now the next question becomes, what's the fix?
Yeah.
What's the fix? So that's where I am with it, right? Because more often than not, in the history of Jerry Jones, when he gets this chippy and this agitated, regardless of what he says in the realm of we're looking inward, the solutions are on the roster, whatever the case may be, well, he was this agitated before the Amari Cooper trade. Right. And I don't believe he's going to make an in-season head coaching change. But to my point, he was this pissed off during 2010, during the Wade Phillips to Jason Garrett change. Don't believe he's going to move on from Mike McCarthy this year. I believe McCarthy is fine to let this ride play out. But my point being, when I start to see Jerry get this pissed and the armor get this fractured, typically there's something on the other side of that.
But my question is, why does it have to take this long to get pissed off? Because we've been talking about the same thing since, y'all have been here longer than I have. So probably years previous than 2023. But I feel like last year we were having the same conversations of the personnel and the run game, defending the run up until the Green Bay loss. Up until now, it's kind of like the same issues that you continue to have. And you're waiting until the bye week to show that frustration, because you're now getting these consistent questions coming at you about how do you fix it.
I'll tell you why, and it's something, and I'll throw this right back to Hekma, because it's something he said in his first answer. This season is not like last season. which in last season wasn't like the previous season. This is different, right? Because over the previous 2 seasons, you had your struggles on the road, but you were kicking ass at home. You had things you could use to excuse other things away.
Yeah, you get built on.
Yeah.
Right. But when you're getting demolished at home, this is now your 4th straight, not only loss, but your 4th straight humiliation on your own field. And the last one came on your birthday. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So when that's happening and everything is failing, you don't have anything that you can hang your hat on and say, well, the defense is playing well, but the offense can't get it together.
Right.
Or the offense is playing well, but the defense is struggling. No. Both of those things are very poor right now. And you're 3-3, and even the 3 wins you have, you can't brag about those 3. You barely escape with those 3, and the one you didn't barely escape with was against the Cleveland Browns, and we see what kind of team they are right now. There's nothing to hang the hat on now. In 2023, you could say, well, the offense is looking good in McCarthy's first year. They're trending toward being the number 1 offense, and they ended up being the number 1 offense. The defense was taking the ball away all over the place. We couldn't fix the run defense, but we can get the takeaways. You can't stop the run. You're not getting takeaways. You can't pass the ball. You can't run the ball.
Yeah.
That's why now he's pissed off versus this time last year.
What kind of conversation should be had, and where do you start this week?
It's gut check time. I don't know about you guys. If you went back and I went back and watched the film, it is hard to watch this Detroit loss. Yeah. And we've watched. This is our responsibility. We have to watch film because we got to come in here and know what we're talking about. that what Dan Campbell did to the Cowboys defense and Ben Johnson, that was a humiliation of your team. And you didn't just get beat; you got humiliated. Mm-hmm. And one of my favorite movies is The Godfather. Well, The Godfather is my favorite movie, and one of the great scenes in The Godfather is when Vito Corleone sends his lawyer to speak to a Hollywood executive, Jack Waltz, and he says,
I never watched this. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry?
Okay, I'm getting judged. Yeah, I've never
You've
watched
never seen The Godfather?
No, that's why I'm kind of looking at you like I'm...
We'll speak offline.
Okay,
so...
Great movie.
Great movie.
Okay.
And so in one of these scenes, Vito sends John Hagen, to his lawyer, to go talk to a Hollywood producer about putting Johnny Fontaine in this movie. And the Hollywood producer tells him, no, he's never going to be in this movie. And not only tells him no once, he tells him no twice, emphatically. And the Hollywood producer the next morning wakes up with a horse head in his bed. And it is one of those scenes. It's a mafia movie.
It's an iconic scene.
It's an iconic scene. Everybody knows. But it's one of those displays of power. And to me, that was what Dan Campbell showed the Cowboys. It was a display of power. I'm going to line my offensive tackle at the slot. I'm going to run a hook and ladder. I'm going to embarrass you. I don't want to just beat you. I want you to feel all of this. And as a matter of fact, tomorrow, the next day, all week, I'm gonna make this family dysfunctional because of this loss. And and I wanted to bring the whole house down. And that's kind of the feel that I got from that loss. And I feel like that is something that probably Jerry has sat down and had a conversation with Mike, had a conversation with all of the front office guys about look, if we're gonna lose, we can't lose like this. Because this is now 3 times in a row at home where you've gotten drugged. And this last time, like I said, it was a complete embarrassment. And you got to watch The Godfather at some point this week.
I think I will.
Please don't say it out loud.
Yeah.
I already did now. So.
Oh, man. I thought I was in good company.
That's rough.
My bad.
You are. Dang. I guess I got to go watch it.
So we've now figured out what the problem is here with the Cowboys. But you haven't watched The Godfather. It all makes sense.
When did it come out?
Oh, and it's the 70s, it's a 70s movie, but it's a cult. It is a classic. It is classic. It is like Scarface. Have you seen Scarface?
It's okay. I haven't seen Godfather.
Oh
either.
my goodness!
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. No, Nicole. Have you not?
It's okay. It's okay, Nicole. We in this together.
Jazz.
No,
I haven't.
No jazz.
You never seen Scarface? You never seen Scarface?
No.
Okay.
So then you
shaking your head in disappointment is crazy.
You've never seen movies like Gangs of New York and Reservoir Dogs.
No,
and
I don't know what the hell you're talking about right now.
We will talk offline. You have homework.
Yikes. Yeah, you got so many good. You got good movies to watch.
Okay.
Yeah, you got good movies.
The Godfather. All right, go ahead.
You go.
I haven't watched The Godfather.
I'm sorry. No. I was asking, what kind of conversations do you have, and where do you start?
Where do you start?
Yeah.
I hate to use the same phrase that they used, but it's so accurate, man. Look in the mirror, and when I say look in the mirror, I'm talking about it. Every person involved in every aspect of the organization. I'm not just talking about the players, but I'm also talking about the players. I'm not only talking about the assistant coaches and the coordinators and the head coach, but I'm also talking about them. I'm not only talking about ownership in the front office, but I'm also talking about them because a team goes as every part of the team goes, right? So whether you're talking about team building with personnel, and then once the personnel is in the building, now you're talking about coaching up that personnel, and then you go to the personnel itself on the roster and you say, are you as bought in as you are are you as committed? Are you giving your all in each practice rep? Because what's disheartening for me is when I talk to guys like Jordan Lewis, leaders in this locker room, right? So not 2 or 3 weeks ago, I'm talking to Jordan Lewis. It was after the Ravens loss, and he kept harping on details, and he was pissed off and frustrated, and he was saying things, and this is on the record, he's saying things like guys aren't practicing the way they need to be playing. Right? So when now you're talking about, and add that contextually to when Mike McCarthy starts saying things like, yeah, we didn't practice well this week. Okay? So I take all of that to mean, especially from a leader in the locker room like Jordan Lewis, and I've heard it from a guy like Brandon Cooks, and I've heard it from some other guys, where it's, you need all 53 players on the practice field with every rep like it's a game, right? As opposed, because the way Jordan Lewis described it was, the effort is not the same as when it's in the game. Guys think that they can just turn it on in the game, but this is the NFL. You can't just turn it on in the game because the guy you're lining up against is just as good, if not sometimes better than you, whether you want to admit that or not. So you have to level up. So that's from a player standpoint. From a coaching standpoint, look yourself in the mirror and say, what changes do I need to make? I love what Mike Zimmer said today because it was vulnerability. Zimmer said, he admitted early against the Lions, he said, I panicked. This is your defensive coordinator saying this. This is accountability. This is what looking in the mirror looks like. He said, I panicked. I got away from my game plan too soon, and things started to kind of snowball. That's what I mean when I say every single person, from the 17 on the practice squad to the 53 on the active roster to the assistant coaches to the head coach to the front office, everyone needs to look at what their role has been thus far in this team failing at home and falling to a 3-3 record. And until that happens, there will continue to be pockets of things that aren't up to par. And then you will continue to stumble over the remainder of this season. And then in the offseason, you'll find yourself asking the bigger questions that everybody's really going to be asking and Jerry's really going to get pissed off about.
So I have a slightly different opinion.
That's where you start.
But this whole look in the mirror stuff, and this is not against you.
No,
I think I'm over it. I'm over the quote.
How it just happened.
That's how quickly I'm over it because I've been hearing it too much. I've been reading it too much. I'm saying,
I get it. The message is been the same message for years.
This mirror thing is not working. Like, how about we put the mirror there? And then we get people to point out what we're all looking in the mirror. Well, does that make sense? Because I feel like some people are not seeing what they need to see in the reflection.
I love it. You know what? That goes to what I said, I think it was yesterday on Talking Cowboys. Your reflection in the mirror is only as qualified as how clean the mirror is, right? So if the mirror is fractured or if it's foggy because you didn't vinegar that thing down before you looked into it, then what you're looking at is not a true reflection of what you should be seeing. So to your point, I don't think the mirror is the problem. It's what kind of mirror are they looking at? Are they bouncing ideas off of the right things? And are they looking at themselves the right way? Because I'm going to internalize this. If I look in the mirror and let's say I went to the gym yesterday, right? If I look in the mirror after I went to the gym and was like, you know what, I'm good, right? I just told myself that before I even looked in the mirror. So now when I look in the mirror, I've convinced myself of what I want to see. Okay. And vice versa. If before I look in the mirror, I'm like, yeah, I'm out of shape. When I look in the mirror, all I'm doing is perpetuating what my thought process is. Yeah. So it's about that as much as it is, to your point, about surrounding yourself with people who can check you and say, you know what, you could get a couple more reps in. Or, you know what, you're totally fine. So have that conversation. It's a checks and balances.
Yeah, I think it's a group effort. And to your point in the whole practicing situation, I think how hard or how well you're practicing during the week should never be a topic of concern or conversation.
Ever.
That should be this is what we do. This is why we're professionals. This is why we get paid. So that should never be a discussion. You should never have even players talking to the media saying, hey, or even Mike McCarthy saying we had a bad practice week. That should never happen. And I put that on leadership. I put that on Mike McCarthy and the way, and there's a difference here because I love Mike McCarthy as a head coach. I'm not a huge fan of him as a play caller. I think that even when they've won games, even last year, even when they rack on the top with stats and things like that, there has been a ton of underlying issues that the offense has had, reoccurring issues that we don't see fixed, things about discipline, and when you get called on a penalty, things that should be corrected, and over the years they don't get corrected. So I think it just comes down to the leader and what you're allowing and not allowing, and how you're reinforcing different things as a group. And I can speak as a parent. When you see a kid do something, you either correct it or don't. And he's either going to keep doing it, or eventually he's going to get better and stop doing the same thing over and over. He'll learn because there will be some consequences. And I feel that this team, right now, you don't have the luxury to really give consequences because you barely got guys playing, but there should be some type of consequence.
Ambar, and it comes down to how many kids you got.
Yeah,
okay.
true.
You might be a little bit harsher on the first one than you are on the fourth one.
Yeah.
The fourth one, you gotta just.
He gets away with everything. The fourth one.
I'm tired.
I'm just saying.
I ain't got no kids.
It's okay. You're okay. It's okay.
I'm taking L's today.
Start with The Godfather and let's go.
We can't even talk to you until you watch Scarface.
I kind of want to go back to, before we wrap things up on the first, before our first break, what you guys mentioned about the practice. That's something that we heard with every coordinator, every offensive assistant, every defensive assistant today, when we had the chance to kind of hear from them today. And they said that we have to go back to the fundamentals. In practice, we're not taking the time out to go back to the fundamentals. And it kind of concerns me because former D1 player, played tennis, Howard, HU, you know. And, sorry, I had to do the other.
I love that.
Sorry.
Let's go.
And so.
I got one of those.
But no, if something's not working and you go back to the mechanics, you're working on that the next day for hours if necessary. And so, and even if that's not in the practice time that we were allotted, which was 3 hours a day in practice at Howard, I'm working on that outside of practice. So that it goes back to how bad do you want it, and if you want it bad enough. And from my perspective, and this is no shade to any of the players, love covering these guys. They're great guys in the locker room, but I haven't seen that real hunger just yet. I don't know. Am I missing something?
I just want to say that back to something that Ambar said, that should be the least of what we're talking about. We should not be talking about practice. And when you practice,
not the game,
but practice. But in preparation for, in football, you only get so many of these. It's not like basketball where you get 82 games. This is the point when you start looking at the Nick Sabans of the world, the Bill Belichick's of the world, the guys that you ask yourself, how do they prepare for every moment that happens in a football game? This Bill Belichick, when his New England team was at the top, they could play a 3-4, they could play a 4-3, they could play a 52, they could do anything. Offensively, they could run the ball, they short passing game, long pass. They had it all, and it seemed like they were never out of any game at any moment. The Cowboys have looked like a team that's disjointed, and that's what gives you the biggest pause and concern. And also when the coaches come and they echo and the players echo the same thing, what are we doing in practice to get better? And like I said, like Ambar said, that should be the least of your worries. And I think for all of this literally falls on the head coach. We've seen some early head coaching changes, and you ask yourself, what was Robert Saleh's preparation in New York? What were some of these other guys that have been moved? What happened in those situations where those teams completely came apart and they did not look like they were prepared for the moment? Last Sunday, that was a team that did not look like they were ready for a team that was upper echelon in every number that you was in running, in every statistical category that mattered. The Detroit Lions are there. They just weren't ready for it.
No, they didn't. They weren't ready, and they didn't come off of the bus, so to speak, at any point during that game, right? So you're getting manhandled on the first drive, and you go down and you can move the ball, but then self-inflicted wounds, red zone interceptions, things like that. And as things started to go poorly, they allowed it to snowball, right? So where was the mental check to say, okay, well, you know what? Here's what we lock down. Here's what we lock in. It never happened, and then it ended up being 47-9 on your own field, and that's not. It's not a one-off, and that's the bigger problem. It's not a one-off. This team is going from being the most dominant team in the NFL at home to being the least dominant team in the NFL at home, and they need to figure that out because you're not going to win the division losing constantly at home, let alone the conference, let alone make a run in the playoffs, and especially when it's not like you're dominating road games either. Your margin of
most of your points have come from Brandon Aubrey,
right? And then of course Kevontae Turpin contributed to that with a kick return. So I mean, there's so much to figure out at so many levels. There is no quick fix. So to go back to your original or one of your original questions, what's the first thing you look at now? What's one of the quickest fixes? There is no quick fix. You have 2 weeks to get as much as you can together before you go out to San Francisco, which is kind of a dual thing because one, it's like, God, I'm just glad they're back on the road now because this is where they win games. But then it's like, oh, it's against San Francisco. Okay, so all right. So you got 2 weeks to fix as much as you can, but this has to happen quickly, has to happen in real time, and it's not going to be easy. It hasn't been easy, and the eternal optimism is from Jerry Jones is out the door. Now I get why. So now the question is, again, you're pissed off? Good. That's what I need to see. Now what?
And ways to fix it. Brian Schottenheimer said that they have 3 questions that the coaching staff asked themselves during this bye week is, what can we change, what can we adjust, and what can we emphasize? Think about those things because we were talking about that up in the next break. You're watching Girls Talk, Boys Talk. We'll be right back.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
We know that juicy, cheesy, grilled to perfection burger sounds amazing, but it does sound like something is missing. Pepsi, baby! The yin to this burger's yang. Burgers and Pepsi go together like burgers and Pepsi. This perfect blending of flavors makes every bite of lettuce, every sesame seed on the bun, and every sip of that crisp, refreshing, ice-cold cola a journey to Foodtopia. Burgers, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
At Jigsaw Dating, we obviously want the Cowboys to bring that 6th ring home. But to be honest, we're more focused on finding the person who will put a ring on your finger. That's why we created a dating app that reveals your face through meaningful conversation, so you can date deeper. Because it's personality that matters the most, not looks. Join Jigsaw Dating today, dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
The Dickey family always mandated that the only Polish-style sausage worthy of their restaurant must have high-quality coarse ground beef and pork, rich spices, and fresh natural casings. We still serve it to this day, and it's so popular, Dickey's sausage has been named the official sausage of the Dallas Cowboys. The perfect matchup on game day. Dickey's Barbecue Pit. No one outsmokes us. Order at dickeys.com. For groups, call 866-BARBECUE.
Dibs on the ribs.
Stay connected with the Dallas Cowboys on your connected TV. Catch up with all Dallas Cowboy content like player interviews, weekly TV shows, podcasts, docuseries like Deep Blue, and much more. Download the Cowboys Now app on Amazon Fire, Roku, and Apple TV.
All right. Welcome back into Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw, the preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys, Ambar Garcia, Patrik Nosey Walker, and Hekma Harrison. All right.
Wow.
I asked...
No, nothing.
Hekma Harrison. Is that what you needed?
No,
I'm
no.
sorry, my bad.
I still
What?
can't.
He's still
nothing.
in shock.
You're still shocked about the movies?
Yeah.
I'm sorry to disappoint y'all guys.
It's okay.
Look how
I'm
they
so
massacred
sorry.
my girl. Look how they massacred my girl.
I'm sorry. I do need to do better at that, though. I'm more of like a show girly. Like, I watch shows. I love shows. Movies, I don't know.
Shows are good.
Y'all are looking at me like I'm just.
I'm not judging. You live your life how you want to, and everybody else should.
That is completely fair. I'm judging.
So y'all mind y'all.
Certain things I want to judge about.
That's crazy.
You have seen Friday, right?
I have.
Okay.
I've seen all of them.
Woo, boy.
Hey, yo. Now we're.
You was gonna judge me.
No, I wasn't. I'm looking for common ground.
Oh, okay,
That's
okay. No. We here now with that one. All right.
That's the end of friendship. Okay, all right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, what can we change about this Cowboys team? Let's start with offense.
What do you think?
What can they adjust and what can they emphasize on this week?
Well, I want to hear from Ambar. I want to hear from Ambar since she has a problem with Mike McCarthy.
I said this on the break the other day. I think we should seek out and get David Goggins to come. Do y'all know?
Hell yeah, who doesn't know who gave that? Yes.
I don't know.
We know.
Okay.
We know.
Nicole?
We know. We know. Dang. Got a bad track record. I'm sorry.
SEAL training.
I'm sorry.
I didn't say it out loud.
Yeah, we need SEAL training.
Some kind of motivation, you know? Some kind of like...
Who's going to carry the boats?
Exactly. No, but I don't know how to fix this because, again, we talk about the offense. When your defense is struggling, you're hoping to be able to rely on your offense, and it hasn't been the case. They have all their starters for the...
other than Brandon Cooks.
Other than him, everybody else is in there. You got the...
Offensively, Guyton was out. So you had...
But in general, you have your main roster.
Yeah, you were mostly
you got your starters who your main... Healthy.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, everybody's dealing with something. Most people will argue, that's fine. But you got your guys that you're working with. Dak, and I'm going to say this, I love Dak. I've always been a Dak supporter. I see the talent in him. But at some point, it does get to where it's like, okay, when are you going to be the guy that can carry this offense at some point? And I say this because over the years, and I think he has improved every year, in his career, he's improved his game more and more, but there's been changing elements all around him through his career where you've changed coordinators, you changed head coach, you've changed guys on the offense in general. So you've changed all these things to Dak. And when it gets to a game, for example, like this game, you're expecting more. I get that the pressure is there from the O-line and you're struggling with that, but there are many other times where I feel like he's had time. He's had the chance to make other decisions. Yeah. Something that is lacking that I think can be implemented is the running game from him as a quarterback. There are times that he can escape. He has the legs. He has the movement. We've seen him get out of the pocket. We've seen him have the ability to run and even throw good passes in the run. And that's something that we haven't seen from him at all in his game. I know on our show, Brian brought up the whole thing with in the offseason, he had his ankle that he dealt with.
Scoped.
Something. But he's healthy right now. So that's an element that I think we haven't seen at all that could potentially maybe open things up a little bit in the offense where it's not that hard to adjust. And after you paid him that much, I get it. You don't want to get hurt, obviously. You got to protect your quarterback. But at the same time, what are we doing here?
You got to win games at the same time.
Yeah. So that my saying, how do you improve on the offense? That's something that I would like to see from Dak's game, to be incorporated into it once in a while. And then another thing, I don't know, it just comes down to Mike McCarthy and how his scheming things and with guys, you have very talented players. Hunter Lipke is another guy that every time you get the ball to him, he's great, and we don't see him. Go ahead, let it out.
No.
Say it with your chest, eh?
No, because we have this thing on the Players Lounge about Hunter Lipke, and we have been Hunter Lipke doubters. And, he's proven us wrong time and time again. So I'm disagreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you. Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I don't know what else to tell you because everybody else, I mean, you think about CD, you think about Jake, they have talent. The talent is there. We've seen it. We've seen them be really good at making plays. It's just not working out right now. And I think that the physical aspect of things has become a topic of conversation that are like the Cowboys are not a physical football team right now. And I think that's one of the biggest criticism when facing opponents, that everybody it's playing faster than them and being more physical and aggressive than them.
Yeah, I just had the thought that in my head when you were saying that, that if I ever won the lottery, y'all would know it because I would go and buy a Bugatti. You would know. You would be like, Hekma just won the lottery. That is your key, that I just won the lottery because I'm driving a Bugatti. And the thing about a Bugatti is you cannot put 87 in a Bugatti. And right now,
that's what they got.
That's what they got. They're trying to put 87 in this thing. And the names that we're using are not going to give you the production that you think. I mean, I'm looking at Dak. And I don't know if much has changed about his game, Ambar, other than the fact that when he's had those opportunities to run, he hasn't taken advantage of it. For some reason, we saw that last season. Like, come on, Dak, you could pick the first down up. Come on. I mean, whether he's trying to save us, whatever it is. But there are times where you ask Dak to do way more than what you've seen from him in previous years. To me, the cast of characters around him is just not up to par. I know we look at Ferguson and say, look, he is next in that line of great quarterbacks. Tight ends in the NFL. But some of your second, third, and fourth wide receivers, that ain't it. That ain't it. And I mean, we'll get on Dak about his interceptions, but when you go back and look at the tape, did Jalen, did he break that off too flat? Where was that supposed to be? I mean, there's always an explanation because no interception is the same. It's sometime on the other guy, and that's what I feel like. Jalen Tolbert, Dak drops it. Quarterback coaches to take 20 to 20. Dak drops it right at the 20. I don't get sun in your eyes, whatever it is. You got to catch that ball. You got to make that catch. And so many times we've asked Dak to do more with less. And I know what comes with the $60 million payday, the expectation. Dog, you got rising tide raises all boats. You got to get, hey, man, it don't matter. Make those guys that you have, make them work, because we've seen Tom Brady do it, but have we ever really put Dak in that same conversation? We're only putting him in that conversation because of the money, right? And so I'm saying the guys that he has around him, to me, are not living up to their billing either. And so if we're going to ask CD to break double teams and do all those other things, we're going to have to demand more from these third and fourth guys that are just really giving you nothing.
So would you change the personnel, or would you just change
to what? Seriously,
know.
the reason I say to what is because Brandon Cooks is on IR.
Yeah.
Okay. And for those that were asking on Twitter, no, the bye week does not count toward the 4-game minimum. So just to clear that up. So Brandon Cooks is on IR. Jalen Tolbert stepped up wonderfully against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And he did have that drop with the sun in his eyes. But he was, outside of that, he was one of the only bright spots, no pun intended, son, bright. He was one of the only bright.
We got it.
Yeah, he was one of the only bright spots in that game offensively. But I mean, for me, it starts twofold, right? Number one, your protection has to improve. It has to improve. So Tyler Guyton, although he missed last week's game, he's shown flashes of what he can do. Go back to Cleveland versus Myles Garrett. But then he's also had some struggles as well, particularly with penalties, right? Getting a little too handsy, and he's using his hands to kind of save the day, but then that draws a flag. Cooper Beebe has had more good games than bad games, but he's had at least 2 bad games, and he's coming off of a bad game right now. So let's attach youth to that, because they are both rookies, and they're learning on the job. And Cooper Beebe specifically is performing better than what people thought he would at this point, but he's still young. And then you look at Zach Martin, future first ballot Hall of Famer, coming off the worst game of his career, or at least one of the worst top 2 games of his career. When you're getting that type of lack of production from your future first ballot Hall of Famer, and then your rookies are struggling. Tyler Smith popped out the left tackle in the absence of Tyler Guyton. Tyler Smith had his worst game as a left tackle, because in year 1 with Tyron Smith were down, Tyler Smith played very well as at left tackle. No one on the offensive line played well against the Lions. Go back and look at the Ravens. It wasn't entirely different then. Go and look at Pittsburgh. You won against Pittsburgh, but you had protection issues, okay? So that's one. But in addition to that, the Dak Prescott variable. Control what you can control. You can't control how well the guys are protecting in front of you, and that's probably going to lead to a mistake here or there that is just tied to lack of protection, right? You got pushed off your spot. You thought you had a 3-step drop, but the guy's in your face after 1 step. Oh, man, what do you do? Right. But what you can control is red zone, the miscommunication to CeeDee Lamb. in Pittsburgh, that interception, left side.
That's on them.
That's Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
Right? The miscues between Dak and CD that continue to show up, that is easily controllable by the quarterback and the wide receiver.
No, see, let me ask you this. In the Detroit game, was that not just an amazing play by the defender?
And I said that in real time. The receipt is right here. In real time when it happened, I was like, Brian Branch with an amazing, sensational play.
I mean, he fools him in the flat.
Sensational
come on, man. That's such a great
goes to
play.
what Aisha said yesterday is because do they believe that these teams don't watch film because they run that same play?
Going back to what Hekma said, if you go back and you watch the film, every interception has a story. Okay, so two things can be true. Brian Branch made an exceptional play, and I said it in real time, like, holy crap, this is why that's an NFL player. Okay, but even Dak admitted it in the post game. If Dak looks him off a split second longer to keep him paused right there, so CD can get to that clearance and then throws it. Then Branch, even though he lays out backward, it probably goes right over his fingertips into CD Lamb. And it's a different conversation. It's a different ball game. You take the lead early in the game, and we're not talking about offensive struggles in the red zone, right? It is a game of inches, so fantastic play. I don't want to take anything away from Brian Branch, but my point for Dak Prescott is he can improve as well. Right? So in the things that you can control, Ambar makes an excellent point. And I've pounded the table since he came back from injury, and I understand why in 2021 he didn't do it. Yeah. You had the psychological aspect. You were terrified of suffering that injury again, re-aggravating it. But we are now in 2024. If the pressure, the protection is not there, or the play is breaking down, and you see any kind of grain, Mahomes that thing. Right? Mahomes he'll sit back for a second, but then he gets shifty. He gets itchy. And then he makes the pass rushers work because they know that he's not in that spot every single time. There's no reason Dak Prescott should be a statue. Too mobile for that. Not saying that he has Mahomes' mobility, not saying he's Lamar Jackson back there, but he's not a statue. No. He's not Peyton Manning. And now,
it's not
more
something that the opposing team is looking at or concerned about. Like, put it on film.
They know
once
all
in
they
a
have
while.
to do is keep Dak Prescott in this particular range of space, and it's probably a sack. I'm like you, Amber. I want to see Dak Prescott use his legs to put more pressure. And for me, you have to do that when your offensive line is not blocking well. When they're not blocking well, you're going to have to get out there and make pass rushers think twice. Because if they get too aggressive, they have to bag back and say, wait a minute, he might actually burn the edge on me. So that's the dynamic. So Dak Prescott can play better. The offensive line can play better. Receivers not named. Well, CeeDee Lamb can play better. We're not going to say CeeDee Lamb can't play better. CeeDee Lamb can play better, right? Everybody can play better. Jake Ferguson, love Jake Ferguson to death. No secret. I believe he has All-Pro in his future. Example, against the Lions, middle, deep left, elevate. That ball, help your quarterback out. Your quarterback's struggling. Your offense is struggling. That's a jump ball. Come down with that ball, Jake. And that's a catch that he wants back. Everybody has to improve. But for me, it starts with protection and the quarterback. And if the protection is not going to be there, the quarterback needs to get ready to run.
A whole bunch of things to fix again in this bye week. But let's go ahead and take our second break before we wrap things up on the show and think about this one as well. Who is a person you need to step up heading into week 8, I believe. Yes, we'll be right back. My weeks is getting a little mixed up with the bye week.
What happened if you watch Godfather?
Wow, that's insane. All right, on that note, you're watching Girls Talk, Boys Talk. We'll be right back.
The Dickey family always mandated that the only Polish-style sausage worthy of their restaurant must have high-quality coarse ground beef and pork, rich spices, and fresh natural casings. We still serve it to this day, and it's so popular, Dickey's sausage has been named the official sausage of the Dallas Cowboys. The perfect matchup on game day. Dickey's Barbecue Pit. No one outsmokes us. Order at dickeys.com. For groups, call 866-BARBECUE.
Dibs on the ribs.
We know that juicy, cheesy, grilled to perfection burger sounds amazing, but it does sound like something is missing. Pepsi, baby. The yin to this burger's yang. Burgers and Pepsi go together like burgers and Pepsi. This perfect blending of flavors makes every bite of lettuce, every sesame seed on the bun, and every sip of that crisp, refreshing, ice-cold cola a journey to Foodtopia. Burgers, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
At Jigsaw Dating, we obviously want the Cowboys to bring that 6th ring home. But to be honest, we're more focused on finding the person who will put a ring on your finger. That's why we created a dating app that reveals your face through meaningful conversation, so you can date deeper. Because it's personality that matters the most, not looks. Join Jigsaw Dating today, dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the Playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
The most action-packed motorsport experience in the world returns to Arlington. Head to AT&T Stadium on Saturday, October 26th for Monster Jam and watch 4 Marvel Monster Jam trucks make their Arlington debut. Tickets are on sale now at SeatGeek.com, the official ticketing partner of AT&T Stadium. You got to take your son. Got to take him. Got to. My son was into Monster Jam, and when he stopped being into Monster Jam, it broke my heart.
Sad.
It broke my heart. It broke my heart.
I agree. We took the family to Monster Jam, I want to say last year around this time. Amazing. Like, not only were the kids into it, but I found myself, like, becoming a kid all over again, like cheering for the monster trucks and the themes.
See, last year he was still too young. I think this year he would.
They'd give him the headset.
Give him the headset.
Yeah, give him the headset.
It's louder than you think. But, just it's an experience. It's fun.
I love this for y'all. Hopefully I get a chance to go. I was
going to say, you should just go.
I should
like, seriously.
go.
It's fun in and of itself. You ain't got to have kids to have fun at the Monster Truck Rally. It's fun.
I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it. Okay, so I got that. I got to watch The Godfather. I got to watch Scarface.
Yes.
The Color Purple.
The Color Purple.
You got to listen to Jodeci.
I got to listen to Jodeci.
In mint condition.
This is a lot of homework to do. I'm not going to lie to
y'all.
Fault. All right. You know what? On that note, all right, real fast, before we wrap things up on the show, who is a player that you need to see step up the rest of the season?
Just one name.
One name.
Mozzie Smith.
I like that. Okay.
Go.
When he's healthy, I want to see more from Tyler Guyton.
Okay.
And like I said, he's flashed. I need more consistency, and I need him to do away with the penalties.
I would say Dak. We just had a whole conversation about him, and I'm not going to get into that again. But I think, like, on defense, I feel like just one player is not going to mark the difference. I think it's going to take a whole lot more than that, than just one player to really change things up.
I only say Mozzie Smith is because when I go back and I look at the film, it's like Mozzie getting moved out of the middle opens up so many things to Coach Zimmer's defense. He is like the key piece to everything that's going on. And if you can't fix him, I think some of those blaring holes that you're getting in the running game are going to continue to happen to you.
Yeah, I like that one. I like that one as well. I was going to go CeeDee Lamb because in this case, you need stars who are still on the field to step up. You haven't seen a lot from CeeDee Lamb this season, which is something that even Shotty had mentioned, that connection has taken a little bit more time, but you getting paid the money. You got to be able to step up like the expectations are for Dak. So on that note, though, we got to wrap things up, but we're going to be back here tomorrow at 3 p.m. with more Ambar Garcia, Patrik Nosey Walker, Hekma Harrison, and Nicole Hutchison right here in the SWBC studio. We'll be back tomorrow.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!